Join us as we travel the state of Arizona to learn about its history. Our journey will not be chronological, but geographical, as we travel to the far reaches of Arizona. At each site we visit, we will include a review of the location with lots of pictures and historical information. The reviews will be by the teacher and the students, Rebecca, age 12, and Rachel, age 13. Our first stop was at the Tubac Presidio State Historic Park, located in the little artists' village of Tubac, 50 miles south of Tucson, just off Interstate 19. The park was easy to find. There are signs for it when you exit the freeway at Tubac, and all you have to do is follow the signs to the parking lot. Tubac was the first Spanish settlement in Arizona, and was rebuilt many times after Apache raids decimated it. Not much is left of the Presidio ruins, though you can view some of them through an underground museum. What the park really succeeds in is recreating the life and times of the culture of Tubac in its heyday. Several more recent buildings are still standing, including a schoolhouse that looks remarkably like the one in Little House on the Prairie. The museum is fantastic and quite large, containing artifacts from many generations of Tubac culture. We were warmly greeted as we entered the visitor center. It included a large gift shop with lots of books, crafts, and other memorabilia. The center also displayed paintings of scenes from Tubac's history, as well as relics, such as a Victrola. My children were immediately fascinated by a tray of old tools and other items that were set up as an I Spy game. After we paid for our admission, we were shown an 8-minute video about Tubac's history. Then we headed out along the sidewalks to see the sights and, of course, take a bathroom break. The park is fairly small. To be honest, I almost skipped this park due to its small size, but everyone in the family really enjoyed it. And it's easily accessible, except for the underground section, which is entered by way of stairs. It took us 90 minutes to see the entire park, and we took our time. My girls found something of interest nearly every step of the way. If you tour it too quickly, you will miss a lot. The tour is laid out so that you will make a loop through the park. We arrived at 9:30 a.m. on April 5th, and it was getting pretty warm by the time we finished. Our first stop was at the 1885 schoolhouse. My daughters could have spent half the day there and never gotten bored. There is a girls' hallway and a boys' hallway, along with coat hooks and places for backpacks. Entering the classroom was quite spectacular. Blackboards lined the walls full of rules for students and even for teachers. The front of the classroom features a large stage area filled with items from the time period. My girls especially loved the dunce cap. Everyone had to try out the teacher's desk, and the dunce cap was placed on several heads. There is a beautiful quilt hanging as a backdrop to the stage area. The classroom even has an old potbelly stove heating system. Though my oldest daughter did not want to go to Tubac, as soon as we entered the schoolhouse, she was excited about the visit. The next stop was a view of St. Anne's Church. The church is not part of the state park, but you can see it from the grounds. We chose not to visit the church after we were done at the park, since we wanted to get on to Tumacockary. I'm not sure what hours the church is open, but I'm sure they have that information at the visitor center. There is nothing left of the old Presidio above ground, so the park is outlined in stone where the Presidio stood. There is, however, a nice underground exhibit of the excavations that include sections of the wall, artifacts that were found, and details about the process of excavation. It is well worth the trip down the stairs to see it. There were a few other points of interest along the way to the interpretive area, including grinding stones, but my girls made a beeline for the kitchen at the interpretive area. It's amazing how this exhibit drew the full attention of my children. They immediately went to the kitchen and pretended that they were cooking. The area is designed for the visitors to touch and experience the objects, and the ramada was beautifully crafted. After cooking us some rather good, pretend authentic Mexican food, the girls bounced around between the other exhibits, which included a leather-making area, wood-cutting, a bedroom, and other territorial-era exhibits. My oldest daughter actually found the bed quite comfortable, though it looked like a difficult place to sleep. The girls also really liked the garden that was filled with crops from the territorial era: wheat, cotton, tomatoes, and other plants were neatly arranged and well protected from animals. The area was beautifully designed, and the plants were thriving. We all enjoyed walking through the garden and looking at the plants, some of which we recognized and others we had to read the signs for. You really feel almost like you are transported back to the time period of the 1800s. The museum is much larger than it first appears, and it's loaded with great displays. My children each have different interests, but all of them found displays that caught their attention. It was nice and cool inside, and we were the only ones in the museum most of the time. I really enjoyed the giant map of the area and the printing press display. I learned that Tubac produced the first newspaper in Arizona. It was fascinating. My oldest daughter really enjoyed looking at the clothes and outfits from the different eras, especially the dresses. There were a lot of "come here and see this" from the girls, so I didn't get a full tour of the museum. The museum also had a really nice display of the foods eaten during different times, including models of the foods that you could pick up and arrange on plates. The younger two girls had a good time matching the foods to the eras. Our next stop was the tack room. There's not much to see here, but it was restored to look like it would have when the Presidio was standing. The adobe construction might be of interest to someone who hasn't encountered it before. The Rojas house is next to the tack room, but you couldn't go inside because it is used for park staff. Our final stop was Otero Hall. Besides being the building that houses the park restrooms, it contains a terrific display of the mail delivery vehicle. Paintings of the era adorn the walls, some of them telling the story of the mail delivery. The vehicle is called an ambulance, not because it transports sick people, but because ambulance fit closer to the Spanish concept of travel. Overall, I thought the park was well worth the visit, and I think my daughters learned a fair bit about Tubac and the territorial era. Rebecca gave the visit to Tubac a big thumbs up. She really enjoyed the visit. She especially liked the schoolhouse and the museum. She liked that there were displays where you could touch and see how people used to live. In the underground section, she enjoyed looking at the artifacts that had been dug up. She also liked looking at the old ambulance. In the gift shop, she learned a lot and said there was a nice selection of gifts. She really enjoyed the hidden object game as well. What she enjoyed most, though, was just being able to run around, explore, and that everything was easy to find. Rachel also really enjoyed the visit and gave it a big thumbs up. She enjoyed laying on the reed mattress, and she enjoyed learning about the origin of the piñata. In the gift shop, she liked that there were a good selection of gifts. She really liked the corn husk dolls and the prickly pear candy that was really yummy. She enjoyed visiting the schoolhouse, the museum, the patio interpretive area, and the underground ruins area.